So I recently stumbled across Simon's YouTube channel, and I'm gonna use him as a guinea pig to share exactly how you can get more views on YouTube. And Simon, I wanna say you're missing a huge opportunity on YouTube, because YouTube is the place where your message would be the most effective. Now in this video, I'm gonna be going through the metrics you need to care about on YouTube, what Simon's doing that's great, what Simon's doing that's not as good, and how he can improve it. I'm gonna talk about things that have never been shared publicly, and I guarantee this video will be the best time investment you ever make for YouTube content. No gatekeeping at all. But before we get into the content, who am I to roast Simon's channel? Well, me and my friends built an agency and we've worked with some of the biggest creators on YouTube. And through that, collectively, we've helped get these creators over 1 billion views. And one of the most important aspects of getting so many views is metrics. There are two main things you need to care about on YouTube. You need to care about CTR and AVD. CTR being, do people click on your video, and AVD being, how long do people watch when they click on your video. And YouTube uses these two metrics to decide whether your video gets views or not. When you post a video, it gets pushed to an audience, let's say a group of 100 people, and from that, YouTube gets a bunch of data. And if that data is good enough, again, the video just keeps getting pushed to a larger audience until not enough people are clicking and not enough people are watching, and then the video dies. Now, why do we need to know this? Well, we can optimize our content to get more views by focusing on these two metrics. And the biggest factor for these metrics are your video topics, your title and thumbnail, your intro, and the actual content in the video. Now, the good. Simon, your brand is elite. You have 2 million subscribers on YouTube, 4 million on Instagram, 4 million on Facebook, almost 9 million on LinkedIn. Your brand is extremely strong. On top of that, you have podcast appearance that absolutely crush it. I mean, just look at some of these views on your podcast appearances. And you have a podcast that is crushing it. On top of that, YouTube is exploding when it comes to podcast content. More people watch podcasts on YouTube than any other platform. So really investing in your YouTube content will future-proof your brand. Now, one of the biggest things that I think people miss when it comes to YouTube is that the longer the content, the more trust and loyalty is built. And since YouTube is the social media platform with the longest content, you build the most trust and loyalty through YouTube. Now, specifically when it comes to content, Simon is crushing it. He has access to the coolest people on the planet. He's also amazing at conversation. I mean, he understands what makes a great conversation, and he's used to making really good content. I mean, just look at some of these videos and the views they get. Simon understands content to a T. Now, what are the bad and how can we fix them? Well, there's a couple major mistakes. First, if you look at your titles, the title real estate is off. There is no need for the podcast name to be in the title. It's just wasting valuable space on the title. Instead of putting your podcast name in the title, the fix is to just have very strong branding. Your core audience will know that it's your podcast from your face and your branding, and the new audience won't care about your podcast name. That's not going to be a factor in them deciding whether they click on the video or not. Another mistake is putting names in the title. Names serve two purposes in a YouTube title. There is either an audience behind the name and it is recognizable, or there is authority behind the name and it has expertise. And Rob Lowe could be a great guy. I have never heard of him before. Does not have enough of a pull from the recognizability perspective to justify putting his name in the title. And we can see this just by using Google Trends. If you look at Simon and you look at Rob, we should only be using people's names in the title if they are more recognizable than Simon himself, because it is his content. A great example of this is this video right here, where instead of focusing on this guy's name, they focus on his job title and the authority that comes with it. Instead of saying his name, they say the insulin doctor. And just there, that appeals to such a broader audience of people who might not know who he is, but know what a doctor is and know what insulin is. The third mistake I see a lot is not creating enough curiosity in the title. You need to be using your title to create as much curiosity as possible. You can do this by using contrarian statements, by creating shock, fear, exposing secrets, showing social proof, or even asking interesting questions. A great example of this is this video right here with the title, "The Dangerous Truth They're Trying to Hide." This naturally makes you curious. It makes you ask a question, what's the truth and who's the person trying to hide it? And just with that simple title, you create curiosity strong enough to get 11 million people to watch. Now, the next title mistake I see a lot is not front-loading information. You always want to place the most interesting information at the front of the sentence. When people are scrolling through YouTube, they might not read the entire title, but they're definitely going to read the first couple of words. So you want those first couple of words to be as interesting as possible. A great example of this is Mr. Beast, the world's largest creator. Just looking at this title right here, you can see he places the dollar amount, a crazy amount. You can earn $10,000 every day if you survive. He's front loading this sentence to create the most curiosity possible. The next component that needs to be fixed is the thumbnails. Thumbnails are what grab people's attention on YouTube. And there's a couple mistakes you're making that are really killing how much attention your thumbnails can grab. And one of the best ways to make good thumbnails is to optimize faces. You want the faces to be as big as possible in the frame. You also want the people to be making interesting expressions. We've actually noticed that if you have the person's mouth open as if he's talking, that expression performs better than any other expression when it comes to podcast content. And on top of that, this is where the recognizability and the brand comes into play. Simon's face is his brand. We want to have as clear and as big of a shot on Simon's face as possible. Here's a great example of optimizing the sizing of the faces and the bodies so that we get the most value out of it. Now, the next big mistake I see is in text. Text in thumbnails is extremely powerful to grab attention and to create curiosity enough to get people to click. And there's a couple mistakes that a lot of people make, which is they put too much text. The sweet spot is 3 to 5 words maximum. On top of that, you don't want the text in your thumbnail to just reinforce what you're saying in the title. You want it to expand on that scenario in the title. Here's an example of putting text properly. We have a couple words and we have natural viewer where the viewer looks at Simon, recognizes the branding, looks at the words, looks at the guest, and then clicks. It's a lot easier to follow compared to can't really make out who that is. Oh, can't really read this very well either. And ooh, who's this guy? Now, the third mistake I see a lot of people making is not grabbing attention. The role of the thumbnail is to grab the attention. You want to use colors, actions, and text to do that. On top of that, you want to use power words that create curiosity because certain words are more interesting than others. Because on YouTube, you're competing for the click. When a viewer is scrolling through YouTube, they're deciding which video do I click on. And optimizing your thumbnail to grab the most attention possible is going to allow your videos to beat out other videos. Now, mistake number 4 I see with thumbnails is setting the wrong expectations. The thumbnail sets the expectation for the content. If there's 2 people talking with a mic, that tells viewers, oh, this is going to be a podcast. If it's just raw, unedited footage, that tells viewers, oh, this is going to be a vlog. If it's optimized, extremely bright and colorful, that tells people, ooh, this is going to be entertainment. And you can just see these different formats here play out. Now, by far the highest leverage part of YouTube is topics and picking the right topics. Specifically, what goes viral? Why do these topics go viral? What are viral components we can use to go viral more consistently? And specifically, I want to provide you with my ideation framework on how I come up with viral ideas. Now, there are 3 main ways to do this. Number 1 is by far the easiest. You take proven content. So just looking at Simon's channel, we have some videos that have gone extremely viral. And Simon probably knows this extremely well, but half of the game when it comes to social media is not coming up with new ideas, it's communicating it efficiently and properly. And on top of that, you don't need every piece of content to be a brand new idea. You just need to reinforce positive action that people should be taking every day. And that same principle applies to content. Once you make a video on a topic, it's not over. You can follow up with that same topic trying to reinforce that premise into your audience. Now, the second way to find good ideas is internal. Look at what's working inside your specific niche. Now, here are 2 good examples of videos that have been working extremely well, and you can naturally use Simon's authority, his audience, and this viral topic to make a video that's really interesting. Now, Simon and everyone else watching, I want to challenge you here. Because a lot of people make the same type of content. And specifically for Simon, he focuses on podcasts. And your podcast appearances are amazing. They pull insane views and they're some of the most valuable content out there. But there's a big dilemma. When someone wants to watch Simon content, there's only 2 options. You either watch his podcast on his channel or you watch him talking on other people's podcasts on their channels. But what happens if we offer people a third choice? Authentic content. Simon sharing lifestyle or key learnings in a desktop format. This has never been done before with Simon, and on top of that, you can only get this content on his channel, which means viewers have to come to his channel and watch his content to get this valuable information. And on top of giving viewers content they can't get anywhere else, it also increases the volume of content you're posting on YouTube, which is always a huge win. I think Vin right here is a perfect example. He did a lot of motivational speaking, but he's been recently transitioning to more desktop talking to the audience format, and it creates an extremely valuable piece of content that you can't get anywhere else except on Vin's brand. And Simon can do the exact same thing. Now, the final big leverage point for content is the intro. Once people click on the idea and they really like the topic, how do you get them to watch the video? Well, this is my simple intro framework that works really well. You want to hook the viewer with interesting stuff, contrarian takes, shock, fear, foreshadow things that are going to come in the video, and then you want to create curiosity that forces them to watch the entire video. And then the final step that most people mess up is you want to get into the value. You want to get into the content as quickly as possible. Now, a way to create extreme curiosity and guarantee that people watch your content is to figure out what are people's pain points. Why are people watching your content in the first place? And then offer the dream solution to them. If you watch this video all the way through, you're going to get what you most desire. And if you do all that, I guarantee you will not just get more views on YouTube, you will maximize the potential that your YouTube channel has always had. Now, if you like everything you've heard, but you're going to struggle to apply all this to your actual channel, DM me and we'll help you figure it out. And if you already have a team established, just send this video to them and watch your content improve drastically. Hope Simon forgives me for roasting his content. Peace.